This video explains the theory behind orgone accumulators and orgone energy. Even Kurt Cobain sat in one of these orgone accumulators. Construction details are provided along with the theory of how the orgone accumulator works. The alleged benefits are described. It started in Vienna in 1922 with Sigmund Freud having clinics on psychoanalysis. Wilhelm Reich worked there as his student. Sigmund Freud came up with the concept of libido for sexual energy, whereas Wilhelm Reich called it orgone energy. Both are based on sexual energy. This video provides guidance only. Please review the liability waiver. Dr. Reich's lab focused on the discovery and the analysis of orgone energy. So for years, he studied orgone. And as a result, there are several books, as you can see, that he wrote regarding orgone energy. The last 4 is very specific to orgone energy. All these books can be picked up online. Orgone energy is based on sexual energy that Wilhelm Reich discovered, and he developed orgone accumulators. He designed and built these accumulators. They're the size for one person. You can open up the door and you can sit inside and get 5 to 30 minute treatment. Now, what are the benefits? Allegedly, you can mitigate cancer, feel great, and provide you energy and increase germination of plants. Now, is orgone energy like the equivalent of chi? Is that what we're accumulating? Or are we accumulating prana? When you sit inside, are you increasing your chakras? Is that what's happening? Well, this video explains what actually does occur using 80 years after the fact knowledge based on recent research. So what's an orgone accumulator? Basically, it's a box. Different sizes box. The box is lined with steel and fiberglass layers, wood frame, etc. Here's an illustration of it. Here's one layer. Just add layers, steel wool and fiberglass. Steel wool and fiberglass. That's 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers. Now, the steel wool is a ferromagnetic material. And here's the theory of how it works. Once you have a ferromagnetic material with one layer, you're getting a magnetic shield. And if you add a second layer, that magnetic shielding is enhanced. You further reduce. Now here's an illustration. What's hashed is, that's the ferromagnetic material. The red line, that is the magnetic field. As you can see, the magnetic field is being conducted within the ferromagnetic material. The first layer of the ferromagnetic material is moving most of the magnetic field inside it. However, some of it gets into the second layer of ferromagnetic material. So here you see the second layer conducting some of the magnetic field. So as a result, when it's all done, the interior of this box has a reduced magnetic field inside it because the bulk of the magnetic field is being conducted through the first and second layer. If you add more layers, you end up with further reduced magnetic field. Let's calculate the magnetic field inside an orgone generator, accumulator. So here are the dimensions of our cube that we're testing. So the magnetic shield factor, S sub cube, was developed by the Technical University of Munich and the Federal Institution for Physical Technology in Berlin. This is the best equation for a cube with a single layer of magnetic shielding. So here's your cube. So D is the thickness of your shielding wall, and L is the base length of your cube. The relative permeability, or that's the magnetic permeability, is the last factor you need. So your equation for a magnetic shield is simply that. It's very easy and it's pretty accurate for one layer. So let's calculate the magnetic shield factor. So it's 5 centimeters and 1.5 meters the base, and your magnetic permeability, let's look at the chart. For carbon steel, it's about 100. Plug in the numbers, calculate, you get 3.67. So then the internal is the external over the magnetic shield factor. The Earth's magnetic field, northern Florida, is 0.52. Substitute that. So now the internal magnetic field is 0.14 Gauss. That's in a cube, 1.5 meters. Well, what are we shielding from? The magnetic field that we're shielding from is the entire spectrum. Shielding from this broad spectrum would have some health benefits. Now, here's the Orgone accumulator with the various layers of ferromagnetic material. Now, if the magnetic permeability was 10, after 5, 6 layers, after 7 layers, you're at 0.1 Gauss. Now, if you have a magnetic permeability of 1,000 for your material, for the ferromagnetic material, then you can achieve 0.1,000th of a Gauss. Well, what is that 1,000th of a Gauss? That's the magnetic field on Mars and on the moon. So when you build one of these orgone accumulators, you can create the conditions of Mars. Now, this has recently been studied by Dr. Alexander Trofimov. This director of cosmoplanetary anthroecology in Novosibirsk, Russia, went one step further. What this doctor did is he built a tube to lower the magnetic shield to protect the patient, or inside this tube, using modern perm alloy with a magnetic permeability of 8,000. So he can achieve 1,000th of a magnetic field, 1,000th of a Gauss. Again, that's the equivalent of what the magnetic field is on Mars and on the moon. Professor Alexander Trofimov found that when you're in one of these low magnetic fields, it definitely has a physiological impact on the body, as determined by your EEG. Now, when it comes to the spectrum that's being shielded, the higher particles, higher energy particles, they tend to break through into the Orgone accumulator, so you have a cheap proton treatment because the lower frequency electromagnetic energy is filtered out. NASA found that extended stays in weakened magnetic fields definitely had an adverse impact on health for both humans and animals. Now, in summary, orgone energy is not accumulated, and chi is not accumulated, and neither is prana accumulated in an orgone accumulator. What actually happens is you create a magnetic shield, and you can estimate what that shielding factor is by placing sufficient number of layers in this orgone accumulator. You could achieve close to the magnetic fields of Mars and the Moon. In the time of orgone discovery, it had some merit. However, in research for interplanetary travel, orgone energy is no longer valid. It's basically shielding systems. Please comment and subscribe. Thank you.